Hey fellow gardeners, this is Aaron with Garden Seed Life. Welcome. Today today is March 6th, 2022, and we have, you see we have a tray of white and red onion starts. We have about 6 on average, 5 to 6 starts per cell. We want to transplant those. We put them into 1 onion per cell. We'll let those go for about another month or so. Typically onions need about 90 days, at least we're in zone 6A in Northeast Ohio. These are long day onion variety. These need about 14 to 16 hours of daylight. So that's the variety that we grow up here in northeastern Ohio. So we're going to take these onions and I have here a mixture of soil. We had seed starting soil mix that we put the seeds in, featured in another video. We're going to transplant those into individual cells, and the mix that I'm using here that I haven't wetted it down yet, but we have, I just used a little container, something you can use the same amount. I use equal parts of typical garden soil. Then we used similar with the seed starting mix, just to get a little bit of the loaminess that you want. You want to keep your soil loose and loamy for onions. They want nice loose soil. You don't want to have compacted soil. And then we also are mixing in there some variety of compost. So we have like equal parts of those. We're going to wet that down. But before I do that, like any bulb, onions require a higher amount of phosphorus in your when you're looking at your amendments on whatever thing you're amending your soil with. You'll see the chart on the back. Typically, it's in a 3 digits number. That's the NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. So that middle number is what you're looking to amend the soil with. The onions are going to want to feed the bulb. They're going to want to feed the root system, which is what the bulb is. So rock phosphate is ideal. Just add a little bit into this mixture. This rock phosphate, and this is not the same thing as triple phosphate. You don't want to be using that. This is 030. So just getting a little bit of that in this mix, and then I'll get it all stirred in. It'll guarantee that we get a little bit in each one of these cells, and the onion bulb, as it's growing over the next 4 to 6 weeks before we set these out into our garden, we'll be able to get those nutrients into the root system as it's forming for the course of its life. Also, another amendment you can use is bone meal. This is great. It actually offers a little bit of nitrogen along with the phosphorus. So, if you want to put some bone meal in there too, it's in a powder form as opposed to the granular form, the slow release. The phosphate and the bone meal is going to kind of get into the root system a little bit quicker. So you can stir that and work that into your soil. And then once you get that all worked in, we're going to get that moistened, slightly moistened first. So just wet that down. You can work it with your hand. If you put all this dry mix into your seed tray without wetting it down first, it's really difficult to get the dirt within the cell to get that moisture transferred throughout the entire cell. We're actually using the system that we're using is a Burpee self-watering. So you can see the way this tray is made. You fill the bottom with water. It's got a stand that holds the tray up out of the water, and it's got this wicking system. It's basically a moisture mat drapes over the side, and then that soaks into the water on the edges, drawing the water up onto the platform, and then it bottom waters, which is the best way to do it. It actually draws the root system down through the tray to get to the water source. So you're not really going to be watering this from the top. We want to get the soil wet now, and then once we get everything set, you'll see later in the video that the roots will already be right towards the bottom, and as these start getting set, each individual onion bulb, the root will be right there next to the water source and will naturally draw itself right to that water and get a nice root system established. So I'm going to go ahead and get this soil moistened here, and once I get that done, we'll fill the tray up and we'll get started, okay? See you in a bit. Okay, well, we have our soil mixture ready. So I'm going to go ahead and I've removed the watering tray off to the side for the time being. I'm going to just go ahead and place the cell tray right here in my dirt tray that I have ready, and that'll enable me to work. So here I'm going to work with the white onions here today first. So we want to just right down at where everything at the dirt level. Just give a gentle little tug, and you'll see that we pull one, two. Looks like we have about 6 or 7 onions right here, white onions. Nice root system that's developed. So we're going to take that. We're going to just lay it on our dirt. I'll give you a close up of this in a minute. And literally just going to real gently just separate. You need to use the word break. We're going to just real gently just massaging with our fingertips the roots until you just start to separate one onion away from the other. You don't want to damage any of the fibers, the root fibers, but you can just slowly, you can smell the onion fragrance coming off of this. It just smells wonderful. So as you just kind of gently massage these, you'll be able to just pull each onion out separately. You can lay it out here in the tray until you have them all separated from each other. You can get a good count of how many you're going to be working with. Make sure that you have your tray ready. So as we start to fill this tray up, we pull out another cell and realize we're going to need to get another tray ready. So be prepared. So there's 4. And this is also a good opportunity to maybe the same way when you plant seeds out in your garden and you come back and you do thinning. You might want to look at the roots and decide, okay, maybe I'll put this little guy off to the side and determine if I want to use him later or not. Some of the weaker ones that didn't develop as strong, you may if you have more than you need, you can definitely decide to chop it up, use it in your salad. You can kind of use these as a form of a chive. They're very fragrant. And so here we ended up with 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm going to put the little guy off to the side here. So we're going to take each one. We're right over top of our dirt here. So we can grab a little handful of dirt. You're going to take the root, put it down into the tray. I'll start with the one that's farthest over so I can work my way towards the dirt here. I'm going to get all the roots down inside of the tray, and you're going to hold it up just as it was when it's in the seed starter. So we're going to hold that in place, and we're going to take this nice loose, moistened, albeit dirt, and sprinkle that down into this tray. Sprinkle our dirt over top of it, get it down around the root system. Real gently pat it down. Make sure that you've got, so you notice the onion, like a scallion, it goes from the green hue, turns white. You're going to want that dirt to come just where it transitions from white to green. Just below that level. You can kind of see where it starts to form that mini tiny bulb. You want it just at that level right there. So there is one. And we will, as you're working with them, they might tangle with each other, try to figure out which plant that root goes with. Get them separated from each other. They might fight a little bit in the playpen here. But here's the next one. I can see the bulb. Hold that in place. Get the dirt loosely in your hand. Sprinkle it around. And as you're, some of the garden mixes that you have, they have pieces of actual wood, branch, bark. It's a little frustrating to work with. Sometimes those pieces are a little bit big when you're working with little seeds. There's a big chunk right there. It doesn't harm anything. In fact, as that breaks down in the dirt, very natural, organic. So you might want to keep that in there if it's not in your way. So okay, so we're going to hit fast forward on this, and I can finish. Okay, welcome back. We still have a few onions left. I've only emptied 3 cells from my starts, and I've still got 5 or 6 onions even from that. So I've got a lot of onions to move over to these individual cells. You can see the results here. Pretty happy with the onions I've selected here. One additional item you can do, because as these are growing, you notice some of these come to a nice point and others are a little blunt. So as these are growing, you've got your lights. When you're growing these under lights, you want to keep the lights 2 to 3 inches away. You don't want to have the light too far above. It doesn't put enough output for the plants to receive all the light that they need. So you want to keep the lights down low. However, you're going to see that the onions, they don't of course all grow at the same exact height. So you can kind of clear the deck, and you just use a pair of scissors or something, and you can kind of just choose a height that you want all your onions to be at. And just kind of like mowing the grass, you can just kind of go along through here, and you can choose whatever height you want. You don't want to cut them down too short. While you're doing that, you can chew on one, but kind of taste the product that you're anticipating harvesting in the middle of summer here. We're going to be harvesting these sometime in mid to late July is probably when these will be ready to have their tips dry out, and the tip will kind of tip over or drop over a little bit, indicating that the onion is on the verge of ready to be harvested. So you wait till about 50% of your onions, when they're out in the garden, exhibit that behavior, and then you'll know that it's time to pull your onions. We'll feature that in a future video. So when you're cutting these, you can actually take these and you can chop them up, put them on your salad. So it's onion, it's like a chive, like I said. So we're going to take these now. We are ready to. One of these has got a little snap in it, so I'm just going to pull that off and discard that. Also, it's important to remember to label. So if you've got different varieties, even if you don't, it's always good to put a label. If you want to reuse these, oftentimes they've got previous markings on them. I just take a roll of blue painter's tape. You can just cover the previous label, use a marker on there, and just let yourself know what variety you've got here. So pop that in. Even though we kind of semi-moisten the soil, going to just kind of run a quick bead of water over each cell, just to kind of get the roots set and make sure that there's no air trapped in there. And then I'm going to go ahead and, using a larger watering can, I'm going to go ahead and somewhat fill the bottom tray. I kind of go around the perimeter when I'm doing this for the first time and kind of get the water to shoot down between the different valleys here, and get that carpet, the pad that's in there, moistened so the wicking process starts, and we get those roots that we just put in the bottom of each cell here. You get those roots to start seeking out the water source and get themselves established. So here we are. We're going to put this under our lights. We're going to put the lights probably about at this height. I might do some more trimming, but that looks pretty good. So there's your white onions going from your starts, transporting those into your individual cells. From here, we'll probably trim those about 3 times or so prior to, you'll actually see a nice bulb starting on each onion by the time we're ready to take those out into the garden in Ohio here, late April. Get that garden soil out there ready for your onions, and again, we'll feature that video so we can take these to the next level. Thanks for joining me today, and happy gardening, everyone.